Course 2, Lesson 118 focuses on division by 0. So we know that we cannot divide anything by 0 because 0 is undefined. So if we look at A, what we need to do is find each set of quotients as the divisors become closer to 0. Do the quotients become closer to 0 or farther from 0? So if we look at A, we have 10 divided by 1, 10 divided by 0.1, and 10 divided by 0.01. So once we do our math, we find our answers of 10, 100, and 1,000. So now let's move on to B, and we're going to do the same thing. So we have 10 divided by -1, 10 divided by -0.1, and 10 divided by -0.01. So we see that these are the same. B is just negative. So our answers will be the same. They'll just be negative. So the answers for B, we have -10, -100, and -1,000. So we can see here that as the divisors become closer to 0, the quotients become farther from 0. So we see that in example 1A over here, as the divisors approach 0 from the positive side, the quotients become greater and greater toward positive infinity. However, when we look at example 1B on this side, we see that as the divisors approach 0 from the negative side, the quotients become less and less toward negative infinity. So we see that as the divisors of a number approach 0 from opposite sides of 0, the quotients do not become closer. The quotients grow infinitely further apart. So as the divisor finally reaches 0, we might wonder whether the quotient would equal positive infinity or negative infinity. So we want to consider this growing difference in quotients as divisors approach 0 from opposite sides that can help us understand why division by 0 is not possible. So another consideration for this is the relationship between multiplication and division. So we know that multiplication and division are inverse operations. So the numbers that form a multiplication fact might be arranged to form two division facts. So for the multiplication fact 4 times 5 equals 20, we might arrange the numbers to form these two division facts. So we have 4 times 5 equals 20. And once we rearrange these, we can have 20 divided by 4 equals 5, and 20 divided by 5 equals 4. So we see that if we divide the product of two factors by either factor, the result is the other factor. However, this relationship between multiplication and division breaks down when you have 0 as one of the factors, which we will see right in example 2. So for example 3, the numbers in the multiplication fact 2 times 3 equals 6 can be arranged to form two division facts. So we get 6 divided by 3 equals 2, and 6 divided by 2 equals 3. So if we attempt to form two division facts for the multiplication fact 2 times 0 equals 0, one of the arrangements is not a fact. So we need to figure out which arrangement is not a fact. So we see that the product is 0 here, and the factors are 2 and 0. So our two possible arrangements would be 0 divided by 2, which equals 0. And then we would also have 0 divided by 0 equals 2. So this side over here, 0 divided by 2 equals 0, this is a fact. However, 0 divided by 0 equals 2, this is not a fact, because we cannot divide by 0. So we see that this side here, so this is our answer for which arrangement is not a fact. So the multiplication fact 2 times 0 does not imply that 0 divided by 0 equals 2 any more than 3 times 0 equals 0. implies 0 divided by 0 equals 3. So this breakdown in the inverse relationship between multiplication and division, when 0 is one of the factors, is another indication that division by 0 is not possible. For example 3, if we were asked to graph the following equation, what number could we not use in place of x when generating a table of ordered pairs? So our equation is y equals 12 divided by 3 plus x. So we know in order for this equation to work, we cannot have a 0 in the denominator. So we need to guard against the divisor down here being 0. So if we say x is 0, then the expression would be 3 plus 0, which would equal 3, so a 0 would work as x. However, once you look at this, just if you take a couple seconds to think, we'll see that negative 3 plus 3 would give you a 0. So we can just do a guess and check here to make sure we are correct. So we have our equation. We will replace x with negative 3. So 3 plus negative 3. And then once we solve this, we get 12 divided by 0. So we know that this is not permitted, so our answer could be written as x cannot equal negative 3.